clarity doesn't come from thinking. Welcome to this first episode, this new series that I think I'm planning called Airtime. I've been trying to think of a way to be able to try and deliver consistent content, but that also matches with where I'm at, with what my lifestyle's doing right now, and the kind of things that I'd like to talk about. So, for people who don't know, I've been transitioning away from diving now for a while, and I've started this digital nomading journey with my partner. There's lots of things we're trying to figure out. And so what I wanted to do was offer this series, Airtime, to update briefly where I'm at in the world, some small reflections, maybe some things I've been listening to or reading and that I found interesting, and then a bigger reflection, something that's kind of been bouncing around in my head for most of the week. So just quickly, where I'm at. So Chica and I, we're in Da Nang now, which is a city in Vietnam. It's kind of halfway down the coast. Quite a big city, actually, beach city. It's a really cool vibe. This week I've been listening to the Tim Ferriss show, and particularly his episodes with Seth Godin. I didn't know Seth before, so I only found him recently through a recommendation. And I would urge lots of people to go and listen to all the episodes with Tim and Seth. There's quite a few, because I think he's been such a popular guest, and you'll see why. I won't ruin too much, but I think just to sort of say why I liked Seth so much is the way he thinks, but it's more about finding your creativity and your value, and how actually we all kind of have a duty to pursue something creative and share that, and why there's value in what we share. That's what I've taken from it mostly. But anyway, let's move on to the main topic now. So clarity doesn't come from sitting around and thinking, it comes from doing. That's a question I've been posing to myself. And if I were to have offered this as advice to my old self, I'd probably become quite frustrated, if I'm honest. I think there's definitely an argument for having some downtime and not clouding your mind with lots of things and videos and ideas. But I know I fell into the trap of waiting for the right idea to come to me. I think we all have this idea built into us through schooling, maybe through parenting, of deciding what you want to do when you're older. I think that gives a really wrong idea about this. To show an example of that is taking podcasters. That's a huge job now, a really interesting job. That didn't exist 15 years ago. Look at YouTube in general, all of these things, they didn't exist 20 years ago. So how could someone, let's take Joe Rogan, maybe the biggest podcaster in the world, young Joe Rogan, what do you want to be when you're older? I want to be a podcaster. There's no way he can say that, right? But obviously that's what he's doing. So I think that's a really good example of just proving that you're never going to know, you're never going to figure it out until you just try something. And that's going to guide you in so many ways, genre-specific experiences and knowledge. So you're going to learn about an area and you're going to develop your skills more, and it could then eventually become something very interesting to you and very big. So how the trap worked for me, I talked about diving being this huge goal, this huge passion of mine. So how do I replace that? I've always been interested in lots of different things. Sometimes I've gone all in, but often I've just dabbled or dipped my toe in and thought, I'll just, try this. And that's fine. But if I'm also being truly honest with myself, I think the reason why I'm just dabbling is because I'm scared. Or I was scared. So I think a good example for me is photography and videography. Back around, I think, probably 2020, I was working for Royal Caribbean at that time. I was around some people who were really good with that, really creative, making some amazing stuff. And I thought, I want to make that. And also, social media and YouTube at the time was very action, travel, cool transitions, cuts, stop motion, all this stuff. So cool. But because I thought it was cool and it was what I was seeing a lot, I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, that's what I have to do. So I have to learn how to do that. So immediately I had unrealistic expectations. So what did I do? I bought a camera. I watched loads of tutorials. It was COVID time. And so there was an excuse for, I can't do as much, so I can't film as much. So to some degree it's true, but just a bad excuse, really. And then I watched loads of videos. So I'm sort of learning, but not really, because you really learn by doing, or taking some information that you think you've learned and then trying to apply it. That's where true learning comes from, building your own projects. But I wasn't looking at it like this. And I'd film the odd thing and then not be happy with it exactly. So then I think, it's because I've not got this lens. I'll buy this lens. Or I won't be taken seriously unless I have this piece of equipment. And that's a big trap. And then so you just watch more videos, buy more stuff. So eventually I've got all this expensive stuff. I'm watching all these videos, but I've not produced that much. I've done some videos for very close friends and family. That's it. Not put myself in front of real customers. real potential clients, not shown what I'm doing like to the world more. And part of my feeling is like, well, I'm not sure if this is my passion. I couldn't see myself as a full-time videographer, content creator, let's say, or like working for businesses. It was hard for me to imagine because I wasn't doing it. But actually, I like being creative. And so even if it's not the right thing, unless you give it a try, like wholeheartedly, you're not going to know that. And maybe what you think it is isn't the right thing, but by doing it, maybe you love it, or maybe you see like a different angle that does connect with you. So I think that having different interests is really, really crucial, yes. But if you want to get the most amount of value for that, or if you're feeling a bit stuck and unsure about what you want to do, I firmly believe now that the best strategy is to just try something. Something that Seth Godin said. He believes there's no such thing as writer's block. The issue is you're just scared of putting out bad writing. And maybe that's the same with content creation or like being in front of clients. You're scared of underwhelming them or putting out a video that's not great, doesn't perform well. But the only way to be able to make good stuff is to put out bad stuff. And also just by doing the bad stuff, you show yourself that that's what you're going to do anyway. So you might as well start to do it well. So that was a really cool takeaway for me with Seth Godin. And now that I'm moving into the AI space more, I'm trying not to make that same mistake. Now, what threw me into the AI space more was my feeling of not having enough skills. So that was my imposter syndrome and some of my anxiety speaking to me. Perhaps a smarter thing to do at that time when I first walked away from Royal would have been to look, okay, well, like, what are my skills? And really try to understand my value and what I can bring, because that was totally true. But also the cool thing about that, I suppose at least, is I am developing this other skill set that is very valuable. What I'm trying now to do is take the skills that I'm learning through AI, not get overly fixated on it, and be able to start creating stuff that I value and that other people can value and that can sort of fit into this greater package of what I'm trying to offer. So that's been a cool insight for me. I am learning from that mistake of like not wanting to put myself out there and just trying to wait for the epiphany. But now it's, as I'm putting more content out, I'm talking more. It's almost like a video diary, right? And that's one of the reasons why I want to do this. It's also like a kind of video log of me, my progress, and what I'm working on. And so that's where we're at now. What's starting to develop now is I'm starting to learn more about myself through the content. And secondly, I'm starting to develop better ideas of what I actually would like to build. Right now, that's looking like building more sort of personal apps for businesses. So as we move away from the subscription model, as building becomes more and more easy, trying to be in a place to provide useful applications specifically for a business. So they pay for this application, maybe on a monthly basis, as opposed to having this subscription to a big company that they have to just keep paying different seats for all their users and cost rack up. Instead, they can have their own app that does specifically what it needs for their business. So that's the big focus. My advice would be, if you're trying to find direction, if you're trying to find clarity, just try something that you're even just a little bit interested or curious about. Just have a go, or find something that aligns with the strengths you already have, and just step into that more, really lean in, because by doing that, you'll discover so much more about yourself and what you want to do and the skills that you're developing. You'll figure that out way faster and not waste as much time and not have as much doubt and weird internal monologue that I have. That would be my advice. So I think that's where we'll leave this one for today. If you've stayed around this far, I'm very grateful. I appreciate that some of these videos might ramble a little bit. I want to make this consistent. If people got value from this or found something interesting, like, please leave me a comment and let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about or any updates that you'd want to hear in particular. And that would really help, because feedback is so crucial, right? So this has been episode 1 of Airtime, and I will see you next week.